Hey, good evening, Cape Fleet Stories. Hope you guys are good. With me tonight, I have a few gentlemen with me that you are gonna like and that you're gonna want to chat with. We're gonna talk about politics, but politics not to politicians. We're gonna talk to the average man on the street, to the guy that doesn't belong to political party, but to a guy that actually, love politics and he wants to educate people about politics. I'm going to introduce you to him now. We're going to talk about these things that is necessary. Wat maak je ANC, wat maak je DA, wat maak je the NP as er nog een is, and so on. So guys, just bear with me. I'm going to introduce you now to Selwyn Addinall, and Byron is with us as well. So just hold for me. We're going to go live now. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Byron. Good evening, Selwyn. Welcome, Selwyn, to Cape Fleet Stories. Byron, welkom, bro.
Hey.
Gaan we met
Ek
julle?
wil net sê dat hy het gesê Selwyn is 'n average man on the street. Die man is op die straat, jy's op die dakke help, like wat ek kom sien op die
top.
Hier is 'n roep aan top. Moenie kom praat met die straat nie. Hy man se weg bly op die dak.
Heel dag op die dak. Selwyn, how are you, brother?
I'm well. I was heel dag op die dak. Yeah, tired. I'm enjoying myself here. Tomorrow's my birthday, so yeah.
Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
having some red wine to relax. End of the day. So yeah.
Selwyn,
How are you guys doing?
We are good. We can't complain. 100% Byron.
Are you
How
good?
was your day?
Good party.
Good party.
Are you good?
Was 'n busy day, but ek wil net ingegaan het dat die mense ken seker al vir Selwyn al by nou al, maar dit is net meer of hulle kan vertel wie is Selwyn. Almal dink nou seker dis nou nog 'n politician wat ons nou weer weet wat hier sit, wat seker nou party, waar is hy van die CCC, van die PA, waar is die man vandaan? Hulle wil nou net seker weet.
Look, I mean, I have a business, Roof on Top. We do waterproofing, roof restorations, and those type of things. The business started about 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago. And I grew up in Clark Estate. My brothers, we are 6 brothers, Clark Estate, and we had a difficult life. And I worked for the bank for about 13 years. I got some broken service, started my own business, a courier company. It failed. But my first job initially was as a security officer. And, I finished matric. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't afford to go study, nothing. There wasn't, bursaries, all these things. It was quite difficult. And that's why my brother and I, we went for security training. And then I went as a security officer. They appointed us at the bank. And at the bank, I actually got a gig to apply for a job at the bank. And they sent us to Joburg and Pretoria. And from there on, we came back. We implemented, those years we did the check processing. And I worked there, I think, for 5 years. And then before I left, I became the supervisor of, one of the shifts. And then I started studying IOB. I had a passion for credit. And then after IOB, I started studying credit. And then I went to the credit department, home loans, repossessing of houses and all those things. Long story short, I wanted to be a credit manager. I never got the opportunity. There were a lot of challenges. And then I got an opportunity in Rustenburg as a credit manager. And from there on, things just started happening. I worked for an FMGC company. As a credit manager, I got appointed as a regional credit manager and then eventually a depot manager of one of the depots. And then I resigned. And I started up my own business. My wife wanted to come home. I got gutful, not gutful Cape Town, but I got gutful. A lot of pressure. I got paid very, very well. And I started my own business. It wasn't easy. And yeah, I mean, the first year, the first 2 years, it was very difficult. I put my whole pension into this business. And yeah, business is now picking up. There's a lot of challenges in business. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of, I don't know if you guys saw that last video I made with the racism. For person of color to get into the market, it's very, very difficult, very competitive. And then I started making videos. Initially, before that, I actually sent all these DJs on radio, influencers. Those years, it wasn't influence like you see now today on Facebook and all these platforms. It was the DJs, it was the singers, the actors, the comedians. I inboxed them, and one of the close guys that I've actually met in one of the clubs, I'm not going to mention his name now, I actually inboxed him as well. And just to ask them I'll fix the roof or wash the roof. Those years we started doing pressure washing. And then when the business started, it just didn't work because we had a water problem. And so we got level 3, and then we got level 4, 4B, and all those things. And that time, Auntie Pat was still mayor. And then they took all our certificates away. They just took it away. So we couldn't wash roofs. And that's where this thing started with Auntie Pat nou niks van die water gehoor het, because I actually inboxed her, I sent emails, all those things. And, it just went back and forth, and we never got answers. But we, meanwhile, saw them erecting big buildings. And, when you build structures, you need a lot of water. And I felt it was unfair. And I started pursuing this thing to say, listen, I even went all out because I'm innovative. I started trying other ways, a system where you brush the roof clean, and I timed it, and it took too long and too much human capital, so it wasn't viable. And then I ended up using a vegetation-friendly chemical, and even that company folded. The company here down the road in Blackheath, it folded because they also needed water to manufacture their products. And I bought I think 5 drums, 20-liter drums of their product. I think I still have one left. Eventually, we bought a Jojo tank system that we put on the bakkies roof, the pump system. So we get the guys, bring the non-potable water to pump it in, and then we'll, wash the roof with that. But it's an extra cost to the client. And the roofing industry is very competitive, especially with the foreigners. The labor is far cheaper. And so, yeah, long story short, that's what happened. And I kept on asking about the water because I wanted them to look at the roofing guys. Because remember, when you wash a roof and you do it properly, you apply the bonding liquids, you waterproof the roof, and you paint it with a proper paint application. Then that roof is sealed for the next 10, 12 years. So you're not going to re-incur the same situation. And you create jobs at the end of the day. And they just never saw in between or read between the lines, because there's so many roofing companies, and all of us got hit by the same, issue with the water. And to find out that the city made so much money out of water and putting in meters, it was a disgrace. So that's where the water thing comes from. But irrespective, and the business is doing well. The reason why I started making the videos wasn't to be, to get into political, to the political arena or the space. It was just to show the people, listen, when you wake up in the morning, this is economics. It's basic economics. This is what they taught me when I studied the subject economics. You wake up in the morning, you open your curtains or your blinds, there's frost or mist on your window, and you take your hand and you just wipe it clean, and you can see what's going on. So for me, I don't belong to any political party. I just want to, run my business because we spend a lot of money. I mean, if you think now, if you spend 1,000 rand, 15% goes to government with VAT, just VAT payments, and they don't help us get work. They don't help us on the roof. They don't help us get safe up and down the roof. And so this is where this thing comes from. I just want to show the people that this is what's happening out there. This is what these guys are talking about. You can't just go and read an article on whichever platform. You have to go and check all your sources. For me, it's easy now over the years. So I started making my first video about water to show the people that this is the pressure washer that we use, and this is how quick we use the method that we apply and the skill, and this is how we wash a roof using the least amount of water in the least amount of time. And once the roof is dry, you start bonding liquid, waterproof the roof, and then you just paint the roof. So the water thing is a big thing for us, from a business perspective. From a political point of view, there's a lot of issues in the country, and everyone is promising they're going to do this and all these things. For me, it's genuinely about you making all these promises, but when you get the votes, you sell out. You because inevitably, layman's person, they just need your vote. They go and you give them the proxy to do whatever they want to do with it after they got it. And we need to start, they need to be accountable. And that's my story. They need to be accountable. And inevitably, if they're not being held accountable, people must understand, if you're going to vote, we all have the right to vote. Vote right. Vote with your conscience, yes, but don't have zeal without knowledge and understanding. Don't make the same mistakes. We can see clearly all the corruption that's happening in the country, and it's a sad reality. 27 years later, in this environment, we're still dealing with all the issues, and on top of that, we've got foreigners coming into the country. We've got all these issues we have to deal with, and it's becoming competitive. I had people asking me for jobs, and I asked him, "Where's your workman, your works permit?" They don't have it. So how do we deal with this thing? These are people that's competing with us in the market, and we can't compete with them. I promise you.
Yeah.
I focused on quality, and I focused on giving proper products across the board. Whether you're in Plattekloof, whether you're in Bantry Bay, whether you're in Belha, irrespective of whether you're in the retreat, we're going to give you the same quality of products and service. And if it fails, we're going to come back and we're going to sort it out. We've had issues where I fix a roof and the people say, no, they're in Joburg, they're going to be there for 3 months. And this is what we're dealing with. So not only do you get quality deviations, I send the guys to Northern College, so that we can have a proper team that's going to be able to do the work to the best of our abilities. So these are things that we need to consider. And politics drives, and people ask me in the past, why do you talk about politics? Are you a businessman or are you a politician? I'm not a politician. But you must understand that politics affects our business, it affects our economy, it affects everyone. If you can't have a job, how are you going to fix your roof? That's where the crux of it. And they make the decisions. And we don't know what they're making. I spoke to JP Smith today, and he said he can provide me with the stats. And I told him, you've got the stats. We don't have it freely available. So we don't have the ability to scrutinize it. And numbers don't lie. So was the numbers. You have to search Stats SA and go see for yourself. That's old data that's on there. Data about crime. It's old things that's on there. And that's what I'm talking about in a nutshell. Yeah.
Selwyn, like you said now, many things. And one of the things is that we are dependent on government. Government open doors for us. Government closes doors for us. Government decides who they're going to give attention to, who they can invest in. And one of the things, I don't know if you experience this as well, but a company, when it comes to certain companies, if you're a BE, like us as colored men, They say we can qualify for BE, but when you apply for that job, dan sê hulle vir jou dis nie BE genoeg nie. And I mean, you obviously have experience that. You actually mentioned something over the weekend. It was a video that you made, I think, over the weekend or last week, where you said that
Yes, yeah,
daar's nog 'n klomp ou wit rassistiese manne en 'n klomp ou swart manne, rassistiese manne. But I also want to add, there's also a lot of colored old men that are very racist as well. You
yeah.
know, we get them in our community. So I want to ask you quickly, how do we deal with this?
Look, the video that I made, that thing went, it's all over. I had people from America, I had people from New Zealand that contacted me via WhatsApp because my number's on my page. And there was a lot of criticism. I think there's over 430 comments on there. I can't read all those comments. I'm also busy. But I browsed through it. I responded to some of them. And I did qualify myself to say the reason why I say old black men as well, because you've got a white guy, and not all white people are racist. I promise you, I've got friends all over this country. I lived all over this country. I've got one of my best friends, Willem, is white, and he's my friend, and he actually helped me when I bought my first bakkie, he helped me. I promise you, I offered him in my business, come down to Cape Town and we run this business together. He's my friend. I trust him. That's why I offered it to him. He helped me to buy my first bakkie. Now, I'll tell you now, not all white people are racist. Not all black people, colored people, Indian people are racist. And I did qualify myself. There's a lot of people that will jump on the bandwagon. I told everyone, go tell your mother, your father, your grandmother and your grandfather that this thing must stop. The reason why I mentioned old black men in particular is because you've got old white men, irrespective across the board, that the situation that happened with me, where I got treated the way I got treated, was an old white man, right? And I promise you now, he phoned me twice already to apologize. And he asked me, can I come and fix the roof? I said to him, no, this happened. And I forgave you. You enjoy your weekend, but I'm not going to get on that roof. I'm not going to put our team on that roof even. There's a lot of companies out there that will do it for you. This happened, and this was a deliberate act in the spur of the moment. And you opened yourself. I don't need your money. And that was the crux. The reason why I said about old black men is because old black men runs this country. And old black men must show them, this is what you did to us, and now we're getting you back. Because the BEE system is a system that needs to be thrown into the deepest ocean. It doesn't help any Indian, any colored, or any white person. There's white children in my son's school. There's black children, colored children, Indian children, Muslim children in my son's school. And they're going to grow up. And we need to look after these children. Any parent will take care of their children. Understand? So for us to go and say, look, everyone is across. No. They need to understand. They set the rules. The Ruperts and the white monopoly, they own the economy. I promise you now, if you pay someone working for ShopRite, I just guess now, I pay my guys well, I guess now, if they get, say, 1.5, I hope so, per week for wages, that money will end up back in the economy. And who owns the economy? Now, just put that aside. Now you've got the big six in the ANC creating rules, BEE systems, and all those things that doesn't stimulate the economy. It's just to show them. Now, I understand. I spoke with a lot of guys in the past. I spoke with a lot of politicians, and they explained to me about the black men and the townships and all those things. I understand that. But listen, you cannot go and say, listen, colored Mensa, you are in the middle. It's impossible. I've tendered many a times. Then you get to the tender meeting. You have to be on time. You get there. There's 60, 100 companies. right? I've seen fraud happening. I don't tender, and I will never pay them bribes. I won't pay them because they don't do anything for us. Look at these politicians that sold the country. They are going to court. They are fighting because they need to stay out of prison. What I'm saying to you is they create these rules and we all are just plebs, just slaves, and we need to create jobs. So for me as a business owner, how do I create jobs? How do I get work every day with all these systems that, I just don't see it. How do we create work for people of color, for poor people, if we can't even get the job? And that's my issue with this whole thing. Makes sense? It's just written against us. And so for anyone to step up, there's a lot of comments on that video, even black people, white people that criticize what I said. But go listen to it again and read in between the lines. I did qualify myself. They set the rules, they set the perimeter. Even if you look at the EFF, Julius Malema and all these things, they don't come and give jobs. I went to Brackenfell. I was there at the school. I was there. And I saw the people that got there. They brought the people with buses, no? With slippers on, with old t-shirts on. Those people don't have jobs. I went back home. The next day we had a job. I had 5 guys on a roof. How did they create a job? By closing cliques, by closing that school. How did they create? They must start a union then. But it's unfair what they're doing because they bring the masses in. They create this opportunity or this thing that they're going to create work for this. They're not going to create work. If they had the intention of creating work, they would have done it long time ago. Meanwhile, they are living life. I promise you, we had issues last year with lockdown. We didn't have a beer, cigarettes, nothing. These guys have bars. They've got wine, they've got liquor, they've got beers, everything. They've got underground parking. They've got aircon systems in their homes. They've got security. They've got all these things. They are well paid. The EFF said they're going to take a pay cut. Listen, I was a credit manager and I'm still a credit manager, right? If you take a pay cut and you drop in salary, your income drop, but your taxable income also drops. So who's the idiot here? Did you really get less money? Because your income drop, you fall in a lower tax bracket. Come on, man. That's what I'm saying. Don't take people for fools. We're not idiots. It's a political stunt. The government has secured their people. And they got paid right through the lockdown. A lot of people lost their jobs. And even then, they stole food parcels. It's not right. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Byron, what is your take on this?
Sorry man, I just had a little bit of problem here with the internet on this side. Toe ek terug en die doktertjie het ook nou wakker geraak. You know, it's life, it's midnight. Ons moet na die kinders kyk. A colored man's fear is when his daughter wakes up. Look, I agree with what David letter is saying. If you can just pop up and say we need to stop with the ek moet jou terugkry attitude, because that, you know, I saw what is in Witbank, Hati is in Witbank a school. You know, there's a school in Witbank where it was still race wars, where the black parents was fighting against the white parents, but it's because we've been set up that in societal ways. And it comes to jy nog gesê Stanley, and you said something. You grew up in Clark Estate, Selwyn, en ek sien nie baie mense wat uitstyg in Clark Estate en as hulle uitstyg, as styg hulle regtig uit. Because it is tough to grow up in those areas and you know that, you know? En mense praat altyd swakker van sulke areas, maar see, look at people like you trying to still make it, but yet you must still battle the system to make it. That's trying to keep you poor, trying to make that you can't create jobs for the people that also come out of those areas. And that is because of government, and I agree solely what you're saying. And unfortunately, you can't just be a businessman in today's life. You have to go politicians because that's where the tenders and the jobs lie and so forth. So I agree fully with you. Ons moet daai attitude to glos van neerkyk op mense en ja, how can you say that the revenge attitude. Ons moet dit maar nou los and saamwerk because the economy is crumbling because of that attitude.
Otherwise, there's not going to be a South African economy left.
No,
Look, at the end of the day, the country's been sold. We made so much debt. Our children's going to pay off that debt. You know, if you look at China, Russia, all these countries, America, we've got so much minerals. We've got a fisheries from the West Coast right around. Right around. We've got the fisheries, we've got the farming, we've got minerals. I mean, I lived in Kimberley. The beers sold that the diamonds, they sold it. No? They took everything out. I saw people growing. Hulle noem dit grow op die sypaadjie. Then I saw the policemen. The depot where I worked was right there, opposite the aswapper van die diamonds. And they would get small diamonds, and it's still value for money. But I saw police drinking a Coke, and then once the guy grow and he gets something, boop, then they disappear. I saw these things first, and I spoke to William Antasi a few weeks ago, and it was a cold call. But I mean, he's the minister that's supposed to manage these things. He got another degree now. I hope he's gonna, you know, apply smarter ways and tricks with his new degree. But this country's been sold. The minerals has been sold. We don't listen. Let me explain to you. Like I said earlier, if you buy as a businessman, you're gonna do a project. If you buy something, if you spend 10,000 rand on products, 15% goes to government. So they mustn't come and tell us, listen, we pay to operate in this country. You pay to operate in this country, and then you must still create profit out of whatever you try to achieve. Make sure that the people, you get the job. So it's a difficult thing. All I'm saying to you is the country is rich. There's a lot of minerals still left in the country, but it's locked up in a political space where it's been sold to all these countries with debt, with loans. I was a credit manager. I understand these things. They sell this country, and now we need to work to pay this debt off. It's my birthday tomorrow. I made a decision now not to have a birthday party because it costs a lot of money. You know, to do a split bread, all these things. I'll rather take that money and put it on an account and settle an account. And that's what I want people around me, my family, my friends, when I talk to them, when we have a braai, listen, don't make debt. I was a credit manager. I saw this thing. If I could fall into debt, I'm not embarrassed to say it. When I left my previous company, I got paid 890,000 rand, right? But when I resigned, I promise you, they repossessed my car. I resigned, I had almost the same amount of debt. And this is not bonds and shit. This is credit cards and personal loans and revolving loans. They give it all these fancy names, a platinum card and a silver card and a gold card and all these things. I work for the bank. The banks are the slave systems. And today you can look around. They need the poor. They need the poor. I promise you. Shoprite, Pick n Pay, all these shops, they need the poor. They will pay you just enough so that you can come back. And I promise you now, I told my friends, my brothers in the past, if you take a person that works for low income and that person wins 100,000 rand, just 100 in the lotto, do you think that person is going to come work on Monday? Never. Never. Because this is a lot of money for that moment. Maybe there's not enough experience to deal with that money, but this is 100,000 rand in my bank. I get paid less than 1,000 rand a week. He's not going to go to work. So they need to pay you just enough so that you can come back on Monday. You come back tomorrow. They barely keep you alive. If you go to prison, they give you millies and all this food just to keep you alive. So it's the same principle. It's a slave system that's being perpetuated throughout, not the community, throughout systems. I call it systems. So if you're going to speak about systems, go look at the banking system and how they enslave our people. And we deal with that first, and then we can go forward. I don't have one account on my business. I don't even have an overdraft on my business bank account. And I don't want, I know it's not easy. I mean, for 5 years, I've been doing this. And it's the most difficult thing. I don't eat the way I used to eat. But now that I brought my debt level down, I can go to a fruit and veg. That's my favorite shop. I go there, I get everything there. I buy cash. I don't go to a Woolies. I paid my Woolies account done a few months ago in the shop. I showed the people, was hoeveel op skool te fritie. And I want to drive that message to the colored community in particular. Because they say black in particular, I say colored means in particular, because people need to be educated. And I understand it's difficult. You take out a RCS card because you can swipe everywhere, you can buy food with it. But at the end of the day, you want to buy, you do all these things, you can't afford to recover, because that thing goes into a debit. At the end of the day, you are locked into that thing. And almal soek a piece of that pie. You must look at your salary as a pie. And soos hulle opchop. Once you're in that thing, you can't afford to take off tomorrow, because you must go work to pay them. And where's the money going? It's going back to them. And so that's the type of education that I want to get into. Even with my own team, I always tell them, moenie money lende toe gaan nie. I pay you well. So deal with your money. If you want to drink, ek hou van 'n bier drink. I promise you, ek hou van rooiwyn drink. Soos rooiwyn, Massekinnes. But what I'm saying to you is be responsible. Be responsible. We can't drink all our money up. You can't go and smoke away. It's just not right. So that is where I'm coming from. And I try to live that values. That I could have had a big bride tomorrow. But for me, ek sal eie rekening klaar betaal. Then I know I've achieved something. And I get myself out of this thing. Because the moment you are free, they can't do anything to you. And that's the important thing for me, Stanley.
And I do agree with you 100%. You spoke about the old white men early on. Now, wit man het vir my geleer om financial freedom toe te pas. Moet jy soos hulle sê, moet jy onnodige skuld maak nie. Sy wil nou 'n kwai kar en nou wil sy vir jou mense wys, nee, ek ry nou sommer die top of the range car, maar maandeliks sukkel jy. Rather take that money, invest it maybe in another property that you can rent out, but use the money wisely. En vir baie van ons mense, ons werk net van maand tot maand, paycheck tot paycheck, because we don't plan ahead. Die einde van die jaar, ons werk hard ja. Kom dit nou by Christmas, gaan almal geld nou vir braai, het gegaan nou vir nuwe furniture, then we start the new year with nothing. And you are so right. Ons moet iemand leer, ons moet die youngsters leer, die mense wat saam met ons werk. Because you know what, like you said, I also made a lot of debt. And ek meen, Selwyn, een van die groot dinge is die, we grew up poor. Baie van ons het arm groot geword. All of a sudden, mense nou iets na karre toe, na huise toe, na lekker lewe toe. En daar is ons 'n probleem. Nou ons is nie meer happy met die money. Ons wil nou kwaai wees. And that is a lot of times the problem that we have in our community is that we put ourselves in debt. And we need to stop that. Ons moet jong mense, jong mense wat vandag begin te werk, kry 'n goeie salaris. Hy vat sy R20,000 'n maand salary, hy bly by sy ma in die huis in, en dan koop hy vir hom 'n Golf GTI met insurance about R19,000 'n maand wat hy betaal vir per. En hy,
doesn't appreciate in value.
That is amazing. It depreciates.
For me, I promise you now, for me, this is the important thing. When you talk about credit and all these things, now, a few years ago, Oscar Bogart, Oscar Peter Bogart?
Is my neighbor?
Yeah, I always tell him, he must say sorry to the guys in lesbians. He refused. But the work he does in the community, I saw it firsthand, how he gives the food and all those things. It takes a lot of effort to do it. And it also takes a certain kind of person to do those things. My ma didn't like. We grew up with that. And I support them wholeheartedly because they give food to the community. And the people don't have food. It's sad. And there's so much money being stolen in this economy with tenders and all these things. The gap just gets bigger. But irrespective, what I'm saying to you now is, for you now to go and spend all this money and creating more debt, you're never gonna succeed. It's impossible to succeed creating debt or taking up debt. All I'm saying to the youngsters, I think, the middle class, and the other day someone said to me, we're not the middle class like in England, we are the plebs, we are the working class. And I was quite disappointed in myself to find myself in that situation. But if you don't have debt, you are free. You eat free. You can buy things. I stopped making debt 5 years ago, and I promise you, I bought cars cash because I worked and I saved. I got disciplined. I turned this thing around. Youngsters buying fancy cars. Oscar Bogart said on a post, it was just before Christmas, that the people is going to take their bonuses, especially the factory people, and they're going to buy clothes, fancy clothes, Nikes and Levi's and all these things. And I said to him on that post, Rev, this is the reason why. The whole year, you don't have anything. And now, end of the year, your mom wants to buy the children that stuff. They want to buy. They want to also feel that they can do those things, even if it's for a moment. And it's a fantastic phenomenon. And you can never turn it around. So the reason why people react in certain ways, we fixed the roof last week here in Kallard, and this guy paid his bond off in 5 years. I'm not going to mention his name. And he showed me on his spreadsheet, he's actually a credit risk manager for one of the big banks now. And he showed me how he did this thing. And I was quite impressed because I'm a credit manager by trade. And he showed me, and we could talk about these things because of my experience and his experience and the work that we did. And that was a fantastic achievement, to pay your bond off in 5 years. And it's a colored guy. And he did it. And I respect him for that. But he had to cut down on many things. It's difficult. I'll go to Spur when I'm forced. My son, they force you into, the glamour and the toys and the play, all these things. But I mean, I'm always hungry when I get out of Spur, not to assist. I prefer to buy at home, and I can make my own things, but it's cheaper to buy a steak at the shop and buy it here. So those are small things that I started to learn. Flying around the country, and you sleep over in hotels and all these things. You buy whatever you want, but at the end of the day, it's not your money, because you get paid. For example, you get a 60,000 bonus. You move 10,000 into that credit card, 5,000 there, 15 there, and so forth. And it's just available again. But when the interest runs at the end of the month, you'll see the bank earning money. So we need to get to that space and understand, listen, it's an interest game and it's an inflation game. Our government, we are not a third world country. It's impossible. It's like Julius Malema said, one of the smartest things he said was, they won't stay away. They won't. Because there's all these resources here. They need to protect it. And they're doing it through systems, through political parties the whole time. That was one of the smartest things that I appreciated when he said it, because it's the truth. So they will never let this country go, because we've got everything here. Go look at another country and see if they've got all these minerals in their country. They don't. But they've got proper leadership. They've got people that's in control of their economies, and they are labeled as first world countries, whereas we are still labeled as a third world country, yet we are the bread basket. I mean, they used to say it was Zimbabwe. Everyone is coming to South Africa. Why? So people must understand, stop making and taking debt. The government is doing it. They are enslaving us. But what are they getting in return? Those individuals. And that is a minority. So when we talk about politics, when we talk about all these political parties, the leaders of all these political parties, what are their intentions? I was quite disappointed when Fadil resigned. I still believe in him. I believe in individuals, not in a political party. Because if you look at ESCOM, there must be a lot of people that must be so disappointed or embarrassed working for those Addinall, SAA, SABC, all failed organizations, government organizations that failed. But the reason why they are still there is because they still get paid, and they get paid well. So you can't blame the people working there. We need to start looking at the leadership. So you can't go and vote for this party or that party. I think we should look at individuals, and that's my take. Yeah.
And I agree with you, because in a lot of parties we have good people. I mean, you haven't good to have good people. In ANC, there's still a few, in a DA. So like you say, we have to look at the individual, at the leadership, um leaders, like this is my problem that I have. I mean, we have a lot of people dying on the Cape Flats, a lot of people, and that is every day, every week, people are dying. And Byron was 2 weeks ago. He was with JP Smith in Pagat on here on the live stream, and we actually asked, and JP said, but this is not our problem. This is a SEPS problem, a national government problem. So that actually works on my nerves, because national government is going to do nothing, because they don't run Western Cape. So they're going to leave us to our own. But and while we're trying to figure out what's happening, our people are dying. And I think that is the biggest problem, is that people dying because we're figuring out who is supposed to save these people. And for that, I have it against the DA. I used to vote for them. I think so did all of us. But every time like I had the conversation last week, I said they had posters up on their page, and they said, "Let's save the rhino," and help farmers. But I have never really seen on their Facebook page, "Let's save the Cape Flats." And the argument was, yeah, but that the Cape Flats needs to save itself. That was what one of the people said. But this is my thing is, when they had the posters up, save the rhino, farm murders, things didn't change. Things got worse. So my problem is, why is it when it comes to the Cape Flats, there's always another answer, and that is my problem with the DA, and I will be liberal about it.
Yeah, I lived in Rustenburg at the time when that campaign came out, and we all had that red horn on the front of your car. They give you
Yeah, yeah,
a cable tie.
yes,
I
yes.
had I had a Jeep at the time, and I actually came to Cape Town with it, and everyone was asking me, "What the hell is this?" Because it was Ashley's, my brother Ashley's wedding that day.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I explained to them it was Save the Rhino, and everyone was like, "Save the Rhino?" You say, "Freak, you be Cape Flats." Irrespective. We spoke earlier. I grew up, my brothers and I, we grew up, in Clark Estate, and a lot of our friends, they're not with us anymore. A lot of us, the guys that went to school with us, they got shot and killed. I've got family members right now in prison. Noma Sabella, 27, 28, 26, allemaal die goedes. I thank God that ek het nooit gevat aan hy goedes nie. Because I have a belief system. When you speak about number, and it becomes part of your psyche, and it becomes part of your mind, and it takes over. The same as when the word bekeer, and that becomes your persona, your thinking, your mind. So for me, it's there's so many things they can do to fix this problem. It's just they won't fix it. It's deliberate. For me, it's, why don't you fix it? It's easy to fix. Why can't you fix it? You need us to kill one another to keep us busy. That's my only conclusion after looking at this thing over the years. Hoekom kan julle nie drugs solve you? Ek het met JP vandag gepraat, en hy het vir my verduidelik. He said to me, we lock them up, and they get released again. There's problems with the justice system and all these issues. But I mean, and I asked him, so the DA locks them up and the ANC released them. Is that what you're saying? So you'll watch the video when I post it. For me, it's just deliberate. They need to be accountable on both sides. Everyone needs to be accountable. I have a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, and I ask everyone the same question. Why can't this thing be solved? And he said to me, and he was in prison for some time. And he said to me, Selwyn, I blame the community. And I asked him, what do you mean? He explained this thing to me. Where I live, if there's a problem there, I go out and I tell everyone this is not going to stop. He actually went and he took a tire and he put petrol in it and he threw it over the drug lords that wanted to start the drug den. He threw it over. The police came and they wanted to lock him up. I said, no, I don't have my two sweaty. Because I stand up, I stand up recht. But they left because this guy wants to start a drug den. You want to lock me up, but he's infiltrating the community. So he said to me, no one did anything. They just look the other way. And I understand why, because people are scared. But they sell guns into, this guy, what's his name? Prince Lua. He went to prison and suddenly he got out.
3 years.
There's no, you guys, read these things. So my only conclusion is they want us to die. They want us to fight one another to keep us busy so that we can always stay in the middle. And we can't resonate. What I'm saying is colors on top. Because at the end of the day, if we rise to the top, we don't owe anyone anything anymore. My dad watched that video on Sunday. I showed him that video. When I drove from that place to that roof in Brackenfell, I was applying my mind and thought, I cannot do video mark and say what happened to me. And this was deeply personal, and I just thought, let me just blow this thing and say what I said, obviously. My thinking, and I asked my dad, if as hulle vir my vandag so, as nie hulle nie, daai een ou vir my vandag so getreat het, hoe was my ma en my pa daai dit getreat? My dad was born 1952, 300 years after Jan van Riebeeck and all these things. He became a Kallard with a C. You wake up one morning, Jason man now Kallard. But how my pa, he was a truck driver and a bus driver all these years. Now he hikes to work. He leaves 5 o'clock in the morning. Also Massekinnes. We don't see him. He must go. He must drive around, do this, do that. Now he's done. He parks the truck or the bus. Then he must wait for a driver to bring him home on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. Now he finds out, no, I'm not going to wait for this. I'm going to hike. He gets home 11 o'clock at night. You braai at home, your mense sit there. So I take my guys home with a bakkie. You know what I'm saying? They don't get into a taxi. And so they save on the taxi fare. But my pa and my ma, who was hulle getreat in the apartheid. And those things talk about these things. There's healing in talking about these things. But we need to move on. We need to move on swiftly. But we cannot be stuck in the middle with a system that defines us. Even in business, you don't get anywhere because this guy gets the job, that guy gets the job, and I don't sub. And I told you guys in that video, I will never sub because it's a slave system, the same as the bank. Because they go play golf, they fly all over, they go to their guest houses, they get into their boats and they ride their quad bikes, they ride their speed boats, and they appoint people to run their business. It's not fair. I'm not saying if you get it, congratulations, but don't enslave other people and make their lives difficult and expect us to stand back and say, look, this is right. No, it's not right. There's a minority of people that rise, that sticks to the ground. They work hard, but the rest, they all fall flat. They go back to work and they become a slave again. There's a lot of people in the community that's got the ability to rise up. And I want those people to start their own business. That's my thing, man.
But
it's not
you
easy,
must.
but we try.
I just wanted to hit on that. Dion said something. He took the words out of my mouth, Dion Haywood, and he said, the Cape Flats is part of the system designed by the apartheid regime, and the government is maintaining it. Now, you see, by me is I'm a Cape Flats like. I grew up in the Cape Flats like you, so both of you, and we grew up with guys that's gangsters laying in jail now that we grew up with. You see, it's easy for us to have these chats because we've seen the light, so to say. We've experiences, we've gave ourselves knowledge, we educated ourselves, and some of us probably did not pass well at school or whatever, so be it. But in life, we taught ourselves lessons. Now, this thing for me is now you could vragen. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done. Unfortunately, the Cape Flats is in survival mode and they're in prison at the same time. So what I say by that, they're imprisoned by gangsters, they're imprisoned by the government, they're imprisoned by the law. You know, a little example, I went to the traffic department to find out how messed up the system is, that I even said and confidently said, if I have to do this thing illegal, I will get a better outcome. But I'm trying to do it the right way, and you guys are trying to screw me over. It just shows how the system is so messed up on this side also. I won't still delve into the traffic department and what is done, but just my experience of how badly our government are running stuff, and people are on survival mode. We make jokes of it, but it's not a funny thing. Elke colored man het 'n connection ergens. Yes, it's good and well to have a connection at the traffic department, at the police force, or wherever you might be. But you need to understand, how's that going to elevate your business when every time you must now give a part of your business away to rub someone else's shoulder. No one is finding value in business, and this is the trap we are set in because of government. Ons het hier die groot capital om die groot fines te betaal or home improvements. Come look at our homes. The structures they built today is weaker than the structures that we built at home, but yet they go into that little neighborhood to punish and to penalize those guys, the same as they would go to Bantry Bay and those places. You can't. There's no equal there. Unfortunately, there's no equal. Die persoon verdien R3,500 a month. He has to feed a whole household, where you want to compare him to a guy that earns about probably 1.3 million per annum. There's no comparison. Yes. And again, I'm going back. Now, I'm going to ask, especially for the sake of my kids and for people that want to go into business in this life, we need to take into perspective that there's a lot of guys that's mental capacity can't get out of the neighborhood. I mean, a little example, I was at school in Bonteville, right? I grew up in Bellagio, attended school in Bonteville. I had guys telling me, because luckily enough, my parents were not well off and they were strict on not putting their hands in the pocket and putting themselves into debt. Luckily, I had a father that always to say, cash is king, I'm not going to make credit. This like his father put himself in debt. Hulle bly agter by mense, but this is the mentality. The lighty come up to me, tell me, ja, kyk wat draai, and I'm 16 years old, kyk wat draai sy dra pa millies, ek het 'n paar Nikes aan. But I mean, the mentality starts there from the parents also speaking to the kids. Yeah. How do we address that to the parents that has that set into them? The racism is set into them. The mindset is set into them. How do you change that mentality, guys?
I think personally, it's about class, and you'll see this amongst colored men, black men, Indian men, and white people, everywhere. It's about class, and for me. It's not racism driving this economy or managing this economy or owning this economy. It's elite. It's that's right. People that's got money and they fly all over, and it's about power. So that's why I said it's about the old white man and the old black man. The een wil vir die ander wys, and it's about that. Now, getting back to your point that you said earlier about the housing. If you look at even apartheid, and we don't want to go back there, but you have to just reflect. As jy gaan kyk na die meisenette, you know, the meisenette huise. If you look at the meisenette huise, and you look at the RDP house, it's not the same thing. It's about mass production. It's about giving to you. I mean, I think, what's his name from the PA, Susie King, he said it best. Kelly Kunene, when he did that video, we showed the people that was funny. Yeah, Sushi. It's well deserved. It's well deserved. But if you look at that situation alone, look at the houses. I mean, I've got family that lives in RDP houses, and if you go there, you can see the difference. It's just you just a dak op jou kop, and you must just carry on. And some of the people, they sell the houses back to the foreigners, and they open up shop, and they can't control it. I found what's his name, Zafta in Bella. And I said to him, hey, you must sort out this thing because we see this double story bolt on here. Meanwhile, my wife's aunt, hulle sukkel om 'n Weibergate plan gepas te kry and she's not even going to pay for it. The family's going to help. But he means about double stories, groot winkels, and it's foreigners. You can't deal with the thing, which is wrong. For me, those are the issues, and it needs to be dealt with. But inevitably, we do get back to debt and all these things. It's just we need role models. We need people to go out and say, "Listen, moenie skuld maak and fight for it. Don't pay these fools. Don't pay them. Don't pay them. I don't pay them. I don't care what they say." And it's a slow turn of events. It takes longer. They make clean brood, I promise you. But if you add all those small amounts up, at the end of the month, it's something worth living for. You know what I'm saying? There's a joy and there's a pride that comes from within to say, "Die man maak $1 million op 'n tender. Look at all the money that was stolen just for what is the mask and sanitizers." It's a disgrace. Nou kom hulle in die public domain. I'm saying, don't touch it. Hulle ry kwai karre en almal die goed word gevat. If you pay a bribe, listen to me now. If you get a tender for 1 million rand to do whatever, I've got friends that did that and made that mistake. Sy gaan daai man 100,000 rand gee vir daai tender. He doesn't want the EFT. No, you mad. He wants the money cash. Now you're going to draw that money cash. You must tell the bank, listen, I need to draw 60 or 100,000 cash. They must order the money because they don't keep those amounts of money in the bank anymore. And so EFT, one-eye devil, times have changed, EFT. Now you draw that money, 100,000, you pay this full cash. Wat dink jy wat gaan gebeur met tax return? SARS gaan sien, you took this money, so you took this money in your personal capacity, you're going to pay tax on that money. That is what I'm telling you now. Don't pay these fools. Unless they tender pays cash, how are you going to get around SARS? So don't pay them. If no one pays these fools, hulle kan mos nie krag kry nie. I mean, Mr. 10%, hy's nou gesoel, going to court. He must deal with the consequences, Zuma and all of them. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. The Titanic sink. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of businesses in all spheres of the economy that's doing this thing every day. I'm saying no to fraud and corruption, and I want all the small businesses to say no to them as well. We had an issue with the BIBC. Now you guys will understand this. When you're in construction, you need to register at the BIBC. We had marches at the BIBC in Bellville. We went to town. We went to Parliament. We rallied, all these things to close down the BIBC because they don't do anything for the companies. They don't create work, job, anything. They pay themselves. It was a big thing about 2 years ago. The government signed it back into existence. And look where we are now. They don't create work for us. No. But a system designed to extract money from companies. Now you sub. How are you going to afford to pay your guys well? I don't want to sub. I can rather pay my guys an extra 200 rand a day. And hulle tyla die hele tyd. And they can, if we work 3 days or 4 days a week, then they get paid more than someone that works 6 days a week. But they need to be responsible with that money. To say, listen, as I'm more as a rind, ons kan nie op die dak gaan nie. You need to be responsible and understand we can't work because it's no work, no pay. But what I'm saying to you is, for me, I teach the guys, I take them to Northern College, they get training. If they decide, listen, I'm going to start my own roofing business, I will help them. There's so much work in construction. I can't believe it's owned by these big guys. That's impossible. If the guys that subcontract say, no more, we're not going to sub. What do you think is going to happen? You must understand now, this thing it doesn't come from yesterday. No, it comes from the time of Jesus. Say, Steve Pa was a carpenter. Donald Trump and all these guys, listen to what I'm saying to you. Donald Trump and all these guys, They build big towers, skyscrapers,
Oh, yeah.
buildings.
Oh, yeah.
There's money in construction. They build walls.
course.
They build bridges. There's
Yeah.
klomp geld in construction. And who's doing the work? You think they're doing the work?
No,
You think these rich people are doing the work?
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. We're
But-
doing the work.
No, yes,
We're doing the work.
but that is true. Just to come back, my father was a builder for many years. When that thing came out with the subcontractors, especially in the early 2000s, our father started losing out because the big contracts went to the big guys. Because in remember, you build a house, hulle gee jou peanuts. Daai RDP huise, like you said earlier on. The big company get millions of rands for that houses to build the houses, but they take colored guys to build the houses and they give them peanuts. So you practically make enough money just to pay your guys to get to work and to eat and to get back to work. So that system has been built. So do you know? And I said this
Just to stay alive. The same as the prison system. The same.
From 1994 to 1999, I think that was the best time still for builders. You could still find jobs. Things were still okay. But 2000, because I used to work with my father, I had to give up my job because there wasn't work anymore. There was work, but we were underpaid. So that is still happening many years today. And to add, the government don't invest in colored businesses. They don't give money because they know if we're gonna have money, we can employ more of us, and more of us will be independent. Like you say, op ons skuld maak, we save our money, then we start our own economy. But we also need to realize this. We as a people, and I will preach about it every time, we need to start supporting each other. I need to call Selwyn, come up with that. I need to call Byron, support each other. I need to go down the road to the auntie that sells fruit and veg. I must support her. Kickstart our economy.
Yes.
But that's what I want
because that's what they're doing. They keep the money in between. I promise you now, ek het vriende rondom my, en as iemand vra hoe, that guy, and that's how you do it. It's so right, and that's how you, because I mean, there's a lot of, I'm not gonna go into the tribal thing and that, no, but there's a lot of people that does that, and you will never get it. They want you, you go to the quotation, they say to you, listen, okay, 10 days is busy buyer, get discount. If you break even, I mean, it sounds a lot, but if you look at all the material, the labor, BIVC, petrol, brushes, all these things, it's not even worth it. Then the guy still asks you, listen, I did it in the past, and then I work for free. And I decided, no. If it's not, if you want me, I calculated right. If there's no 20% or 25% margin, then what's the point? Then you might as well go back and work for a company. I've seen people at tenders, no? Then my costing comes that this happened at a hall in Pinelands a few years ago. My costing came to 97,000 rand to restore that paint and redecorate all those things. There were companies that quoted 24,000, 25,000, 37,000. The masses quoted there. I mean, the paint that they prescribed in the tender was even more than that. How did you get to that amount? Go back to work. And then you get a guy that minus 97 or 98. This guy quoted 160. Bro, this is the things that's happening. What I'm saying to you is there's a lot of corruption happening, and people must know. There's a lot of corruption happening. When you leave and you see someone standing there by the buyer, this is the guy that owns the tender or that's responsible. And you see 2-3 guys stand there and you all leave. Then you must know, hey, something is not liquor. I've targeted a lot of big companies in the past. I write up a nice, almost like a CV for the business, email it to them, call them, or visit them. You don't get in. You know why you don't get in? I promise you this now. Because the ones that in is clear that guy's never going to let you go in because you don't want to pay. Because for him it's something extra. But the money is not blessed. You can have all this money in your hands. I always tell my brothers, God comes, he opens his one finger, and val die geld die tussen die slutte deur. And that's what you see happening on the news every day. with these guys taking and stealing. God comes, he opened it one finger, and val hy geld hierdie slowetjies. So it's not worth it to be corrupt. It's not worth it to pay these fools. All I'm saying to you is it's not easy to run your own business in this current situation. We need to create more awareness so that everyone can say, no, I'm not going to pay you. Because I saw there, you don't have to make the same mistakes that these fools made. You don't have to make the same mistakes I made. All I'm saying to you now, in my experience, in my 5-year experience running this business, I will encourage anyone and everyone, don't pay these fools. God will help you. God will always help you. Don't pay them. You stand on your own feet and you make proper decisions, and your business will resonate. Even you might not get that big contracts, because some of them are really reserved for the friendships that's been going on around behind the scenes. We can't infiltrate that thing, and I don't intend to infiltrate it. I don't care about those things. All I want is to feed my children, to make sure that they are taken care of, and we don't be greedy. Why do you want to be greedy? I know you're in business, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. So the bigger your business grow, and you don't have the capacity to deal with the magnitude of it, and you don't have the skill, then it needs to be a slow growth, guys. And that's my story, man. Cape Flat stories. That's all I'm saying.
Cape Flat stories.
And that's so profound what you just said now, and we touched on a lot of subjects, but sticking on the construction and stuff, you see, where I grew up with my father, and this is ek kyk op baie na my pa, en ek kan gelukkig as dit nie vir hom gewees het nie, ek seker nog altyd vir hulle pak mentality ook seker gehad of so iets. But you know, the thing is this, where my father with him reside in Bella, right? My pa het 'n missie gemaak elke oggend 4 die pad. And this might seem like small things, and I'm going to say we need to take accountability for mentality in the Cape Flats areas. Elke oggend 4 die pad, hy het opgebou as 'n huistoek, en afvee net af. As sien hulle, en ek vra hom elke oggend gevra, "Derry, hoekom los jy nie staan die kant? Daai's nou hulle duty om nou van haar af te vee, laat hulle kan sien. Nou syne skoon." Yes. And after a while, the next door neighbor started doing it. The next door neighbor started doing. And you know, when you come in that road of my parents, and they've been living there for about 34 years now. And when you come in that road also by my parents, that value of that road looks so much more. En my ma doen nog 'n sopkombys in hy pad. En as mense in die pad wat sy voer ook, wat die geld het nie, wat die kos het nie. But the value of that buildings and in that road is something you would want to move in because it looks calming. En as jy omdat dit different mense is, as dieselfde mense, but die ding, it moet verander. And it needs more people in the community to start doing that. Now you see, we do stuff in the community, but we don't do it consistently. Ons kom uit, nou miskien met 'n skolletjie, ek kom praat hy vir hom hoe het hy gerehab, or we come out with the government and they give a lot of stuff at once that people can't even handle. They kan ook nie mense te veel gee wat hulle nie kan verstaan nie. Nou môre sit hulle maggies leeg en vandag het hulle 'n klomp kos by hulle, and it's not consistent. So there needs to be a sense of consistency when we implement something in the Cape Flats areas, because we need to be aware it's people are in poverty that side. Yes, people might have houses, but they feel lackluster, depressed, because they don't have a penny in their hand, so they feel they're not going to even worry with this house. So those are the things that can push up the value of the places and make people feel comfortable to live there also. This is just my mentality and mindset.
Stanley, can you give me 1 second? I just want to close the gate quickly. Is that right?
As amper birthday, ons kom ons om nou in die eerste tyd.
Just 1 second, I just want to close the gate quickly. No, I'm coming now.
Okay, cool. So Byron, ek dink is waar wat jy sê, the word that is missing out of our community is taking accountability. Exactly. Like, yes, we blame, we allowing government to dictate, because ons gee krag weg, Byron, ons gee krag weg. Daar is een ding. Die ander ding is we don't support each other. Ons support nie mekaar se besigheid nie. We're not growing our own economy. And things like this, we need to put out there that we work together, support one another, stop hating on each other, stop breaking each other down, because at the end of the day, I'm dependent on you. You are dependent on me if you want to acknowledge it or not. But we need to do something about this, because 27 years later, en ons is meer work af wat ons gewys het. Ons is baie meer WhatsApp nou, you know.
Stanley, sit gou vir jou in my en jou en ons skoon. Ek en sy groei op in die Cape Flats, reg? Yes, I see myself as privileged, although I grew up on the Cape Flats side, which is also the Cape Flats. But I call it privilege not by money, but by mentality of how my father, a man wat ook uit die Bonte wil gekom het, wat ook gesê het, sy gaan amount to nothing, sy gaan 'n skoolie Massekinnes. Die man was ook so gewys. He struggled, and it's not because of his own loyalty, because of fear of losing a job. Back in the day, they had to stay loyal to that work for many years. So our parents stayed loyal because of fear of losing jobs. So just to catch up with you also, Selwyn, so I'm just saying now again, let's put us all three. Sy kon klaar tyd. Stanley kon die Steenberg uithoek. I mean, ek is aan die laaste kant, we need to acknowledge that our mentality has changed. Maybe we were privileged enough by the people that raised us, the people that supported us, the people that surrounds us. But we need to understand that ons kan elke dag government blame, and yes, there's a lot of truth in it. They're not protecting us, they're not looking after us. En ek het vir JP Smith ook gesê, hulle is maar net 'n EMS, hulle ran nie die city nie. Al wat hulle is 'n EMS vir die ANC, because you are just blaming the ANC. So what is your job then? You're not here as niks nie. Julle is maar net 'n security guard wat moet gaan phone laat die ANC kan uitkom. And I wasn't being rude, because that's basically what he's telling me. So going back to that, how do we teach our people to take responsibility for their mentality? Because ons praat oor geld, maar dit gaan change, like you just said, that val die jou vingers. Because if you don't give, you can't receive. Want as jou hande vol is, hoe kan sy nog vat? You know what I mean? En ons almal weet daai. So how do we implement strategies, consistent strategies? Plaas van vir government gaan sê, kon help, want die donors wil nie help, ons weet dit, want hulle sakke is vol. How do we help our communities? Ons gaan praat oor dit, ons gaan vir government blame, ons gaan so JP Smith klink, ons gaan door DA member klink. Ja, it's the ANC, môre kry hulle R1 miljoen, môre kry hulle R2 biljoen, maar hulle bly nog altyd die ANC, maar hulle het geld, maar hulle maak nie changes nie. So how do we make changes?
Byron, and I think something spoke op die kop. I spoke to JP today, and he's very well spoken. And you know, it comes over the years. Most of these politicians are well spoken, and that's why they are politicians. It takes a certain kind of skill and technique and all these things. It's just one package that comes together, and that's why they're politicians. A politician is a politician. What I'm saying to you now is, when you look at, and we're talking about colored men here now, Cape Flats. What I've experienced in the last 5 years, I promise you, I've sent many colored men to Northern College, and I paid for it. And when they go for those 2-day short course training, I pay them for those days that they spent there. I promise you. I did it consistently. This is how I learned in corporate, in the banking system, at the FMGC. They invest in the people. There's a reason why these big companies do these things. They want to equip you and to the best of your ability so that you can give them better productivity. And it's all about productivity. It's about keeping you happy and paying you well so that they get a return on the investment. So we can sit here for the next 2 hours and debate around this. Business will put money, invest money into the person that's willing to learn, that's willing to excel. They're not going to give a poor performance person, that this KPI is, they're not going to send you on that training. They're not going to pay for it. I mean, this is how the system works. Now, I've sent a lot of guys on training. I've lost a lot of guys. I had a resignation now on Friday. The way the person left is not, it wasn't a nice way. It is what it is. I have to deal with it. I've been in management roles for many years, and those are the complexities that you deal with. Unfortunately, what I've also learned was, and I made a video about this a couple of months ago, where I said there's a lot of people blaming foreigners, blaming government, blaming political parties, blaming their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, all these things. colored people need to take responsibility. You can't blame gangsterism. You can't blame drugs. I use drugs. I asked Fadil a few weeks ago on Facebook when he's post there about drugs, and this is an important thing that I want to highlight. And I asked him, what was your drug of choice? This is so important, guys, because you get thick, you get all these drugs, you get. Kykie, manne wat Mendrix geslat het, cream pipe, they don't jump over a wall. They can't. A brava tik, a brava tik, hy kom oor die muur. Yes. En sy gaan hom nie vang nie. You're not going to catch him. What I'm saying to you is the drug of choice that you love, that you like, that you stopped using, irrespective if you stopped using all these things. It's important because that also affects your character at the end of the day. I used drugs. I got out of it. There were many factors. The reason that I got out of it. My wife helped me. I had support and all these things. All I'm saying to you is a lot of my friends, they were not so lucky. They ended up in prison. They ended up dead. They ended up stealing drugs. They can't. Some of them ended up mentally. This can you reg praat you talk to him and then he says, give me a cigarette and give me a £5, give me a £2, all these things. And he talks the whole time and he whispers and you can see klokkies gaan aan hier, so something is not lekker. But wanneer hy drugs het, dan is hy fine. And our parents, our aunties and all these things, they must deal with it. So the drug of choice is important. The question is, how do it get here? People must know. Drugs comes from foreign countries. And it comes, hulle het 'n groot slag geslaan hierso in op die West Coast nou die dag. Foreigners bringing it in. It was a big thing. Millions and millions worth of drugs that came in. How does it come in? People get bored. People get bored. You can't blame a drug dealer alone. I grew up in a time of KTN and those guys. When they throw money, when the police come, they throw money to the community. They give food and they give money and they give all these things. We got used to that. We will shout nabo. When you see die geel wen kom om, die polisie wen kom om, die kinders sal skree nabo to warn them, hey, die Mapusa kom. And so it's all these systems. So we need to understand that you need to deal with it. Everyone needs to take responsibility. You can't blame everyone and anyone except yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, listen, I failed. And try every day just to say, listen, I'm going to make a note. That's what I do. I've got a trip sheet. I need to, this is the project that's been approved. These are the quotes that I need to go see. This is a failure or project. It's on the list. I need to go there. And then I have a to do at the bottom of my list. Even if it's paying the DSTV or if it's collecting something or making a spare key or whatever, I put it on there and it won't get off that list until I do it. So people need to learn to be structured. If you can fix 5 things or 2 things or even 1 thing every day in your life, or just set a goal every day, I'm going to clean the yard. I'm going to wash the car. I'm going to do this or that. You set a goal, you'll see in time to come, you set all these goals and you're going to achieve those goals. And that's where the discipline starts. A lot of the people don't want to take responsibility. They refuse. You give them all these handouts and they don't see what they got. And then in time to come, they want to come back and ask you, please give my job back and all these things. But your bank card ended up by the moneylender. Your bank card ended up by the smokkelaar. How the hell do you get yourself into that space if you got paid so well? Because you could go to Dow or go to Price Roofing, go to all these companies, Reno Roofing, and come see what I pay these guys. Deliberately more. Deliberately. Because I don't have work for them every day. But then I pay them more so that I don't want to lose them. But in the end, if we work 5 days a week, they are well paid. And go pay what they get paid there. It's a sad reality that guys will just get into this thing nonchalant. I genuinely think there's a lot of foreigners riding around with motorbikes and delivering food parcels. People order online food and wine from Checkers and all over. These guys are on the motorbike. I see them every day. They are in fear of their life. People, the taxis riding in Moine, they're riding men to it. But it's foreigners. They go out and they go work. So the Owens that stand by the Checkers and the malls and with this, you think those people don't get money? They get paid well. R2 5 heel dag. They get paid well, but we are ashamed to do that. But die mense gaan sien. But when your back is against a wall, you will say, no, ek gaan nie. People need to wake up and say, listen, you have a degree. Daar's no groot ding met die DA en die degrees en goedes. You have a degree, but you can't even turn that thing around. And starting a business, you don't have a degree, you don't have an education, you can't go and stand en jy kan nie windchips verkoop en jy kan nie 'n sak mits, jy kan nie chips gaan koop by Simba in Pero Industrie en gaan verkoop die chips nie, because it's beneath me. But many Somalians come here, they don't come and work for Shoprite, they don't come and work in a call center. No, they start a business, go see how the people work whole morning, whole night.
It's the mentality, man. When we also go overseas to America and stuff like that, we work in shops, we become a butler and all these nonsense. Yes, because the money exchange is different. So it's just the foreign mentality that you're going to work harder. You're not in your own space. You're under more pressure and stuff. So just to be fair to, ek is ook hard baie op die Kallard mense. And next time Stanley as politician said, moet jy julle CV at least, min hulle degrees en alles, laat ons vir hulle kan title gee. Sometimes
next
time, this politician today we have on matriculated in 1994 and niks meer aan nani. Anyway, but like I wanted to say now, but like I wanted to say now, look, we need to be fair also to a lot of the Kallard like this. Ek weet en ek het some baie. I mean, I sold tools and everything on the market in Pero when I was 14 years old. En ek sê vir jou nou, I sold tools, I sold alles en ek het eers geweet wat dit is, maar ek het dit verkoop. And that's a trade that happens in us vendors. We go at the markets and stuff like that. These ladies are brilliant salesmen. They're witty. They know how to sell. But the mindset where these ladies are to fail to work for your company, or they're not good enough, or they're not well spoken, but they have the drive and determination. But unfortunately, education is keeping them back, which the DA doesn't have, I found out. So that is keeping our lighties back. So you tell me quickly, yes, our lighties must grab jobs in Pick and Pay and stuff, but they gaan nog gat voorraak. Sorry to get the pun intended. These lighties are brilliant salesmen. I told this guy now the other day at where I previously worked, because almost no retrenched because of COVID and goede gebeur, we all go through the stuff. I told this guy, a white guy I work with, predominantly white, I said, ek is van die Cape Flats. We survive anything, and we do things. I had a joke gemaak, so I turned it. It's true what you say. They say, yeah, but it's when you Cape Flats, yalla survive alles, man. So I said, yeah, it's true what you're saying. You must keep that mentality next time you hire a boy from the Cape Flats, because he will put in the same effort when he comes into your workplace. And I'm telling you now, give a Kallard like it, and then you will prove you right.
I agree with you guys, but ons het tyd gehad nou, ons is nou past 11 and we're going to have to actually end it, but Selwyn, ons gaan weer invite in the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much. And you guys are right. It's a lot of things like what Maralisa is saying here. That is actually very true. I often speak to the foreign car guards. Met Emmanuel the other day from Burundi. He gets up early and comes to stand from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and gets paid 300 rand a day. Ons mense wil nie vir sulke min geld weetjie. Ons wil begin met duisende rande. And I think that is the sad thing. But Selwyn, I just want to ask you, and if it's okay with Byron, just to encourage our people, just to take 2 minutes and just talk to them and encourage our people to start their businesses, and also, that there's going to be difficulties, and just give them a word of encouragement.
I'm gonna tell you this now, right? I left my job, and I think this was, it was a calculated risk, like the previous time as well. I think at the time I thought I was much smarter. I had enough money in my pension to take care of me for at least 6 to 8 months, and I didn't get the work, and it was very. I had at least had money, and then eventually they had to they repossessed my car. There were one situation that I will never forget when my sister-in-law with a new boyfriend came to our house. We lived in Stickland at the time, and we didn't have sugar in the house. And when they left, my wife went to a shop around the corner at La Belle, and she bought like a small packet of sugar and tea bags and a small packet of biscuits just to entertain them. And when they left, she was crying in the room. Now you must understand, I got paid a lot of money, and I'm a I'm not a proud person, man. I'm a normal guy. Ek is net, this thing humbled me when I came into the room. She was crying. I couldn't even say sorry to her because I made this decision, and I took everything into account, and this thing failed, and I had to turn this thing around. Even today, um, mense sal vir jou in die rug steek. If there's anyone, when what happened to Fadil 2 weeks ago, I got stabbed in the back many a times over the years, all over. Um, I don't think leaders are born anymore, man. I think they are made. You just never give up. You never give in. You rise to the top. And I always say that. If anyone out there, that's gonna start a business, I promise you, I hated the fact that one of my brother-in-law, he actually told me this in the first year, the first couple of months, that you have to wait for 2 years to succeed, and I didn't agree with that. I fought it against this, and my business only started taking up probably 2.5 years later. And I was very disappointed because I almost like this is now the dynamics and this is the way that things ought to be, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's difficult out there. When you're colored, I don't know. I'm sure when you're black, white, anything in this country, there's just a dynamic of when you're close to certain people, you will resonate quickly, but it will come with a price. If you're not gonna pay, you're not gonna get it, and you need to distinguish yourself as an entrepreneur, as an individual, and stick to your principles, stick to your goals, stick to your dreams, and don't bend your principles for what they put out there. Because when you get to a situation, you go for an interview, you need to speak the way these people speak. Just for a job interview, if you can't speak proper Afrikaans, proper English in the way they want it, you're not going to get the job. But I promise you this, I've interviewed many people over the years, all over. And the moment you step into that boardroom or that meeting room, they can already see your confidence, irrespective of the way your pronunciation, all these things. I saw a video the other day where this guy actually, he says he works with people abroad and they don't care about his accent because they just want the job done. They want the results. When you walk into that interview, they can already see your body language, the way you carry yourself. So focus on the way you carry yourself, because whether you're going to go for a job interview, whether you're going to start your own business, when you speak to that client, they can already see the confidence. They're not going to put 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 in deposit in your business bank account if they can say, hey, die vraag gaan die geld uitsypie. Listen to me what I'm saying to you now. People are going to trust you with their money. There's a lot of guys running away with people's money. If you look yourself in the mirror, if someone treats you bad in a Woolies or in a Shoprite or in a Markham's or whatever the shop is, understand it's the way you carry yourself and the things you said, or the way, it's just the way you carry yourself. I dealt with those things many years ago. So for me, if you're going to start a business, understand what you're dealing with, but just don't give up, man. Just carry on. It's never gonna be easy, but it's gonna be so much worth it. If I can use a roll of torch on and create work out of it and pay a whole team, one roll of torch, and pay a whole team, and put petrol in the bucket and buy silver coat, primer, all these things. This is just roofing stuff. But I can use one roll of torch and multiply it and pay a whole team, including myself, and a 20% profit out of that job. I promise you, you need to get to that point where you can take something and multiply it, create something out of it. And the only way you're going to get that to that point is when you're going to tap into your own self, understand yourself. If you drive a car, you must understand the capabilities of that car. You can't over-rev it, you can't overspeed, you can't over a speed bump drive in a car en verwag die socks moet handle it. You must understand. The same way, you need to understand yourself, your shortcomings, and deal with it decisively, immediately, and get rid of the issues that you know this is a problem. Stop blaming your mother, your father, your friends, your brother, your sister. Blame yourself and take accountability. And when you fix yourself, when you understand yourself like a book, this is what you read, you understand yourself, you will be able to perpetuate that message, and people will read into you because people can see. So it's all about relationships, it's all about working with people, it's all about mingling with people, but it's also all about not selling yourself short, not selling yourself to other people, not compromising your don't compromise. People can see it and they will respect you if you say no. They will eventually. It's not easy in the beginning, but they will eventually say no. I will rather give the job to this guy, and because the next one's gonna run away. So it's all about principles for me. It's all about sticking to your principles. Stop blaming one another and take responsibility. I mean that's the only thing that I've done, and trust God, man. There's nothing on this earth, I promise you, the God of the heavens, Massekinnes, whether you are Muslim, whether you are Hindu, Jewish, Christian, irrespective, God helps us. And if you pursue and you persevere, God will help you. The efforts you put in. I got up 5:30 this morning. I'm sitting here, you know. But at the end of the day, put yourself out there. When you get the job, take photos, post it on social media. It's there. Celebrate it. Don't worry about what this person is going to say, what that person is saying. It took me almost a year because I was proud. I didn't want the people that I used to work with, because I was a manager. I was well received all over. And I didn't want them to see what I'm busy doing now and I'm failing. I was embarrassed. Until my back was against the wall, I thought, hey, pride, what must I do? I must just step up and say, listen, this is me. I can do this for you. I've got the skill, and carry on. And as you go along, you learn. Go to school. Go invest in yourself, not in other people. First in yourself. As jy nie verstaan hoe om te doen nie, how are you going to tell this guy what to do? Say, weet jy wat aangaan nie? I taught myself. I went to Northern College. I had people around me, suppliers, companies that I bought some products from. They hooked me up. They went on the roof and say, hey, this is the error, this is the error. And that's how I learned. But I had a lot of losses, a lot. So that's what I want to say to the guys out there. It's not easy, but just believe in yourself, man. No one is going to believe in you. Even your own family is going to tell you, hey, there's this and that. You need to believe in yourself. There's no one that's going to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? You need to step up for yourself and fight for it. Every day you wake up, you say thank you to the Lord because you have a blessing. There's people right now, but in the hospital with a catheter, kan nie pee nie. That's a gift. You don't even realize. You wake up tomorrow, you have a new day that you can wake up and rise up and say, no, I'm going to try my best today. And if it doesn't happen that day, at least you made a progress. You can start again tomorrow and you carry on from there. You just don't give up, man. Don't blame this thing. I had an outburst about this racism thing and rightfully so. I never expected that to happen on that day, but we move on. We speak about it. You get it out of your system, and you move on, and you be wise about the things that you put out there, that you say out there, and your image is so important. Yeah, that's my story.
Selwyn,
Cape Flats
thank you
story.
very much. Thank you very much. I think Byron, I've learned a lot. I follow him. I follow him. I read his posts. But Selwyn, tonight you have really encouraged me. You've given me hope, and so I do know that you've given other people also hope not to give up, because that's the first thing we do when things don't work out. We give up. We don't find a solution. So thank you very much, and may God continue to bless you. May your business grow, because when your business grow, you can employ more people. More color people can
More
have
people
jobs.
there.
That is what we need to look at: is growing our businesses and employing our own. That's the only way how we're going to
Yeah.
kickstart this economy. So thank you very much, Byron. Do you still want to say something?
Yeah, that is the reason why I fight every day, man. You see, sy sien ek is mos 'n pa man. Ons almal is kapaans en ons verstaan dat it's late at night, it's past our working time, also is mos family tyd. But this
Yeah.
is the reason why I do this. This is the reason why
Yeah.
I do this and why I do these things. You see, we need to understand that this is not going to happen in our lifetime, maybe. It might only happen into generations to come, but it needs to start somewhere. My fiance says it the best: generational wealth. It's not something that comes now and the other day, so it's not something you
Yeah.
can break down easily. But generational trauma is something we need to heal from first before we can build forward. So, ek sal daar beginne, and the best way is like you guys gave some options: start businesses, educate our people, uplift our people, upskill our people, but also, like you said, put God in that center, bro, and remember to love also. That's the important thing. I'm not going to speak
Yes.
much. Ek wil net hê ons kinders moet veilig kan loop en veilig kan bly. Hy's al.
Gentlemen, thank
Well
you
said.
very much.
Well said, Byron. And your fight only started now because that girl is still growing. I
Wonderful.
boyfriend gaan kom.
Wonderful. And you know what, nurse? She had a power nap now. Nou gaan ek hom in wakker sit. And I took my medicinal stuff.
Gents, have a lovely evening, and we chat soon.
Thanks for the opportunity, Stanley. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Keep
Keep up.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
And happy birthday, na. Geniet dit daar. Ons kom
birthday.
môre by die spit braai.
Oh, that's
Sabi
right.
mo, ons kan dit doen met die spit braai. Ons kan mos dit nou vergeet. Los die lounge
Ik
man.
het- I promise you, I had this party figured out in my mind. I'm gonna do this and invite this politician and that politician. And over the weekend, I just realized, no, man, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna close an account. I promise you guys. And
Awesome.
and for me, that is progress. Ek wil nie
Awesome.
meer skuld hê nie, Massekinnes.
Yeah.
We can't live in this debt. They own us. I want to get
True.
out of this thing. Yeah. So yeah, that is my happiness. That is my decision. I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm on a roof tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a small project that we're doing tomorrow. So I'm hoping to get home by 2 o'clock and just spend time with the family. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Stanley, for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Pleasure, brother. We chat soon.
You guys.
Cheers. Cheers, Mr. Byron. Ladies and gentlemen, daar was nou Selwyn en Byron geweest. Ons het lekker gesels. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys took some points. You that want to start your own businesses. This is exactly where we need to be. We need to start our own companies. We need to be independent. Ons moet geld maak, baie geld maak, ons moet ryk raak. And we need to kickstart our economy. And we need to support one another. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And please share this. Please share the stream everywhere. Because you know what? Somebody might just need this message. Somebody might just learn something from this in our community. So have a lovely evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nos praat gou weer.